Are you looking to cut your taxes through passive real estate investing? If so, this is the show that you want to be listening to. He is Nate Armstrong, the founder of Home Invest. My name is Steve Warner. I am the Chief Investment Officer. And today we're going to be talking about how you can cut your taxes to zero through passive real estate investing. Nate, how are you doing today?
Awesome, man. Get the blessing and privilege of walking a beautiful property tomorrow morning. So I'm pretty pumped. I'm on site, on location.
Awesome. So let's start with this. If you're a passive real estate investor, if you're somebody who is going to join one or two deals, how can people cut their tax liability through just one passive investment?
Yeah, so there's a couple. Number one, I gotta just explain how this comes to be. Okay, so there's this whole thing called accelerated depreciation, which the Trump tax cut era actually amplified it. They gave bonus depreciation on top of it. And then there's this other concept, I'll circle back and I'll cover that. But there's this other concept we need to hit today called repair versus replace. Stacking the two together is what amplifies tax savings. So should I just jump in and start breaking them down?
Well, let's start with the first thing. If you are joining a passive real estate investment, if you are talking to an operator about joining the GP, you are going to want to ask them this question, and they should be able to give you a solid answer, right? Any of the deals that Nate and I put together, we know how to talk people through what their general tax savings is going to be. The repair versus replace question is something you're definitely going to want to ask, but let's start at the beginning, Nate, and then we'll jump into that.
Okay, cool. So just the general part.
Yeah, let's talk about the Trump era tax savings and how that affects passive real estate investors.
Yeah, so there's this thing called accelerated depreciation, and Trump tax cuts just added some bonus on top of it. They accelerated it to make it go faster. But accelerated depreciation works like this. The IRS knows that as business owners, we're going to have assets that we buy for the business that are going to wear out. They're going to depreciate, as they call it. And with single family rental properties, they say that they depreciate over 27 and a half years. And with multifamily or any commercial properties, they say that they depreciate over 40 years. Well, Trump era tax cuts came in and said, you know what, we're going to let you juice that thing right up. We're going to speed that whole thing right along. And so basically they just amplified the speed on it. So how does that benefit someone that's investing passively in a deal? Well, if you've got a deal that has a lot of potential depreciation that can be sped up front, that could be seen as a tax credit for you. Now, it's not technically called the tax credit, so please forgive me as I'm using the term interchangeably, but it's the easiest way to understand it. If I go out, like Steve and I got a building last December, as an example, with some of our investors. That building, we're able to take $987,000 per year for the next 5 years as depreciation, as a tax benefit on our taxes. So if I go out and I start selling boats, as an example, and I make $1 million selling boats, I can take my $987,000 of depreciation from real estate and I can offset it against my income over there. So essentially all of the $1 million in income that I made selling boats, I can actually wipe out and pay no tax on it because I have this depreciation credit on the real estate side. That's where it starts to get really powerful.
Well, so can we just talk a little bit about our one client who is a dentist and how he uses this?
Yeah. So our dentist client, 14 plus syndication type deals with us. The reason that he does it, like he likes the rental income, the cash flow per se, but it's not why he does it. The reason why he does this is because in his dental clinics, he's got a couple of them now, his dental clinics, he makes really good money. And the IRS likes to tax people that make really good money. And he doesn't have a lot of expenses to offset it or investments to offset it outside of what he does with us in real estate. And so what he does is he invests in real estate and he picks up that accelerated depreciation tax benefit and he uses it to offset the income that he's making in his dental practice. So that's how he's doing it.
That is the power of this. So if you have a high income earning job, or if you own a business that makes a lot of money and you're looking to cut your taxes, investing in real estate passively through a syndication is one of the best ways that you can do that. You can join us in one of ours, or you can go join somebody else's syndication, but it's one of the best things that you can do. One of the key questions that you want to ask when you are interviewing the operator about joining the syndication has to do with repair versus replace. So let's go ahead and jump into that. This is one of the key things. And if you're talking to the operator and they don't understand this, you need to find a different deal. So Nate, what is this secret sauce, the repair versus replace?
Yeah, and this is something nobody talks about. Maybe 2% of all real estate investors get into this. In fact, the way that we learned it is because we have a really wealthy client who runs all of his investments through a family office where they manage all of their money collectively, hundreds of millions of dollars. And the family office, when we sat down with them to show them what we were going to do in the real estate side, they said, okay, great, but you got to follow this rule, the repair versus replace rule. And I'm like, well, what is that? They said, well, hey, when you go into a property and you've got hardwood floors and they need to be refinished or ripped out, you have a choice. You can either sand them and stain them, that would be a repair, or you could rip them out and replace them. That would be a replace. We want you to do more of the repairs. And I said, okay, but why? Help me understand. And then they explained to me that repairs on a rental property are 100% tax deductible this calendar year, the calendar year that repair happened. And so, whereas like a replace, that has to basically be stretched out or amortized essentially over the duration of the tax period, 40 years for commercial, 27 and a half for single family. So when they clearly pointed out like, hey, we can take the tax benefit this calendar year for doing repairs, there's a major tax incentive. And so we learned that, we started implementing it. I did it on my personal taxes last year, Steve. You know this obviously, but I'll just share it, disclose it for everybody. Like God blessed us last year. We did really well financially, yet we were able to get a tax refund instead of having to write a massive check, multi-six-figure check. We got a tax refund. Why? Did we do something wrong? No, we did exactly what the IRS tax code allows. We're at a point where like, we just like to do everything the right way. And the IRS tax code allows business owners like us or investors who are getting into deals like this to take these they're not tax credits technically, but it kind of acts as a tax credit. They want us to invest our money into real estate and other vehicles like oil and gas. That's why they gave us these.
Awesome. So just so you guys heard that, like Nate's taxes last year should have probably been 200K plus, but due to the repair versus replace and the accelerated depreciation, he actually got a refund of like $24,000. All because of what we're talking about right here. So this is something that you can ask any GP or anyone that you're talking about doing a syndication deal. You can talk to them about this and they should know whether they're going to do repair versus replace and what the general amount that you can write off on your taxes through investing with them would be. If you're interested in one of our deals, our latest deal right now is a 49 unit building in Lexington, Kentucky. We are getting it owner financed at a 5% fixed interest rate. The goal with this is a 1.8x multiple in 4 to 5 years. So $100,000 in, that's our minimum investment. You should receive $180,000 out. Of course, nothing is guaranteed. If you would like to talk to us about this, you can go to homeinvest.com or the link is in the show notes underneath. We would be happy to talk to you. Nate, anything to say before we wrap this up?
No, the deal that you just mentioned, it's a sweetheart. I got a chance to go buy it and all brick. Like this is deals like this where you can actually get the seller to participate. They don't come along very often. And so this one's a sweetheart. I love it, man.
Awesome. If you'd like to chat with us, we would love to talk to you. Click the link down below. And until next time, remember, be a great steward of what God has given you. Do your research on the investments that you make, but go out and make investments. We practice Matthew 25 here, which is being a great steward. We will see you next time on Purpose-Driven Passive Profits. Thanks so much for listening to our show today. Here's Nate with our latest offering.
Oh, so I'm excited to announce this. We've got a 78 unit building, multifamily property. It's 5 minutes from the Kentucky Derby. Its rents are presently 20% below market for renovated units. To learn more, all you need to do is go to homeinvest.com or click in the description below.